Hey y'all, what's happening? It's Tuesday. Hey y'all, okay, what's happening? It's Tuesday. You know what time it is. It is time for Conversations, and I'm so happy to have a full panel with me tonight. So the show topic is harvest time, reaping your intentions. I had to get dressed for the occasion, and autumn is around the corner in 2 days, so why not jumpstart, the season with a show talking about harvesting. Now, isn't play on of the cliche reaping what you sow, but we're going to take it a little deeper, at least a try to. And so I want to go around the table, around the room, and introduce everyone. So man who needs no introductions. We have M3, Mr. Knowledge and Relationships himself. How are you doing?
Yo, I'm doing pretty good, QB.
All
Glad to
right.
be here.
Thank you. And we have a regular on the team who likes to join us and give me a hard time, but I welcome it because I love a good challenge. Mr. Razik, how you doing?
I'm doing all right.
All right. Thank you for being here. We have another member of our team, Mr. Von Erich. Haven't had a chance to, collab with him yet, but I'm sure he's going to give us some great insight to the conversation. How are you doing, Von?
I'm doing good. Shalom to all.
All righty. And last but not least, one of my special guests, my girlfriends in the podcast world and beyond, Miss McKinney, also known as Porch Time. Welcome, Miss McKinney. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey now, everybody. Glad to be here tonight. Excited about this conversation.
All right, thank you all. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. Usually I start out with a quote, but I couldn't really find one just yet to just drive our message home. So we're just going to get started. First of all, oh, I'm sorry, I have another special guest. Another one of my podcast girlfriends, Miss Kim from Meet the Tylers. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me tonight. My husband will be joining me in a minute. He made a store run late, so he'll be in a minute. We're here
All
for
right.
it. Thank you, Miss Q.
All right. Well, I'm so happy to have all of you here with me. So let's just go ahead and get into, intentions. What are intentions? Intention is something that you meant to do, something that you put thought and effort into doing. I like to say, be intentional with your words, your thoughts, and your actions, because that means you do something on purpose with a purpose. So I'm going to get into um, our topic more. So acting with intentions and then reaping your rewards. So I first want to go around the room and get everyone's, insight to what is something you have been intentional about, let's just say this month, September, and you have actually seen or can see the rewards coming forth. We're going to start with the lady. So, Wally. Hi, Wally. Thank you for joining us.
Hey,
All right. We're going to start with the ladies first. So, Miss McKinney and then Kim, tell us something that you've been intentional about, just say September, and that you either have seen the rewards or you're seeing, they're coming.
Oh my goodness, there's so many things that I've been working on, right? Midlife crisis and making all those changes in our lives. But I think the one thing that I want to share anyway, that I've been intentional with the most has been reaching out to old or not old family members, but family members and maybe old friends.
Okay.
Just mending the bridge a little bit, not necessarily, building new ones or anything like that, but just, being grown about it. And I've been very proud about that. I've been happy with the results. And above all, it's made me feel good about me. So
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And we're going to get into the why and the purpose of all of that as we get into our conversation. So, Ms. Kim,
Yes, ma'am.
so what is something you've been intentional about and you're seeing the rewards, or you have seen, like, think they're coming or they're here? Like, what are some intentions you've been
I
working on?
have, yes, ma'am. I have been intentionally surrounding myself with successful people,
Okay.
and it has been putting me in better positions because I thought about it for a while, and we'll get into it in a little bit, but I started realizing that the people I kept around me were not that successful. Like, yeah, they did have the basics of life that everybody has to have, but when I started, I was like, oh, I'm a little more than basic. So I'm gonna need to surround myself with people that are doing bigger and better things than and not to be funny with my people,
That you've
but
been cool with all this time. But
yeah, and I'm still cool with them. But if I look around and they're doing the exact same thing they were doing 5 years ago, I'm not intentionally surrounding myself with their energy. Like,
okay. Well, that's what's up. Thank you, Mr. Von Eric.
My intentions is to grow a stronger relationship with my son,
Okay.
raise him to my best ability to see the growth that when it comes to me and him growing together as father and son, and to educate not only myself but my family and friends, and unify with more people each and every day.
Okay. Thank you for that. Wally,
What was the question again?
what is something that you have been intentional about, just say the month of September, and then you either see the rewards or you see them coming?
Yeah, so I mean, for me, I've been more so intentional about my YouTube channel, right? Mostly for just the seeing of the growth of it, and then the prolonging of what it will be in the further tense of where I want to push it, which can develop from the outside.
Alrighty. Thank you so much for that. All right, Mr. Rossi.
I have been intentional with continuously pissing people off. Meeting Anton Daniels, which I did a few days ago. That was awesome. Learning a new skill, getting involved with tech, continuously investing in the stock market, learning new tangible skills, and staying away from acts. Yeah.
Okay.
Man, I love the market because you could either win some or you could lose a lot.
Oh,
And this
you
is coming
can
from
lose
a guy, right, that at one point recently, like, I made 10 grand off the stock market within like 4 days, and then I did something stupid and I blew it.
Mm-mm.
So
No.
Off of what stock?
You did what? Come on!
Off
I
of
would have took that. I would have withdrawn that and ran.
what stock M3, if you don't mind me asking?
So I invested like in Amazon, like options calls. No, options puts. And then
Yeah.
That's
it had a
why.
rally on me for 2 days.
That's why.
So and I froze up, like, but I ain't gonna get to that part. But hey, Wally, I know you don't understand about the market though, so you won't be able to fathom what it means to go in and go out, But the market
You
is
think
fun.
so? Okay. Hey, I know just enough. Just enough.
All right.
All right. So, Mr. M3, let's talk about your intentions for the month of September.
Okay. The month for September, you talking about for like October? Because September's about to end.
What are some things you've done intentionally for this month? We still got 2 weeks, a week and a half, whatever.
Well, I mean, getting into like the market was one of them. I would say like in the first 2 weeks, just learning about myself and just learning like how to like really. You can't really time the market, but you could. What I learned is that the more money you have, the more you'll be able to invest in. But also at the end of it, I'm like, okay, I have to think like an investor still. So part of me, like, a big part when people, they lose something, they want to give up. But for me, I'm always going to be determined.
Okay.
So you got to keep reading. You got to keep studying. That's some of the things that I do. Most of my reading time is learning about the market and dabbing into the news a lot. When it comes to these certain companies and the S&P 500 and all that stuff. But, when you're down, hey, invest something small and then gradually grow into that.
Okay.
If I could do it with $2,000, I could do it with $1,000 as well. But
I tried it for a while. Based on what was going on in my life at that time, I just couldn't keep it up. So, but I mean, yeah, I'm kind of put something in another market and just let it grow. And I don't want to have to watch it. Like, that's just not for me. I know my weaknesses. That's just not for me.
Yeah, I get you though.
All right. I want to give a shout out to everybody that's in the chat. Thank y'all for holding down. Everybody that's watching, please smack that like button. Share this stream with somebody else. So Arshan, who says salute. Just a Splash, who's speaking to everybody. Miss Sophia. Vaughn Bryant, greetings, peace, and love, and longevity. Thank you for checking in. And thank you, moderators, for everything you're doing in our stream. So, yeah, get those people in and get them liking and all that jazz. All right, so let's move on. Move on to the next thing. So, when you set intentions, you act out of your intentions, you basically create control for your life, what you want to happen. Let me ask you this. Has there ever been any moment you just kind of went blindly into something in your life without taking the time to actually plan it, and it fell apart literally like wet tissue paper? So we're going to go around in order this time. We're going to start with M3.
Well, see, if I talk about the market again, it's going to be the same thing.
I mean, that's fine. That's what stands out for you.
I mean, okay. I want to talk about something about the market, but look, I know for a fact, besides the market, there's times that I took a risk in trying to invest into this small business or invest into a group of people that will put their dollar into it, match it with someone else, and then allow that dollar to grow into something. So I learned that, hey, there are still scammers that's out there. It wasn't too much to invest in, but it was just enough for me to really understand why, it's not good to deal with business with other people. And sometimes you got to do it yourself, even if it's the slow route.
Okay.
Right, and you'll be surprised, sorry to interrupt, but you'll be surprised how many people I've had to send out of my DMs and my inbox with that, them extra trader messages. Like, I understand that that's your business, if that's your business, but that's scams. Most of that is scams. Like, I know enough to know that it's not all real.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you're next, Bob. Were you done, Mr. M3?
I'll say this one last thing too.
Go ahead.
People get scammed into fall into the trap of YouTube viewership, and because I had previous experience of just understanding that, okay, if somebody's trying to come to you and say, hey, I want to promote your channel by a small fee, maybe $100, okay, and I will send your links out to a whole bunch of people and they'll subscribe to you. You know, not realizing that people will set you up to try to, like, you know, add bots into your network. And that's something that you definitely don't want to do. So, but, you know, I know there's some people that will deliberately pay for subscribers. And, you know, knowing that, you know, you're not going to get nowhere with it. So, yeah, definitely be careful with that.
Okay. Thank you. Kim,
Yes, ma'am.
what is something that you didn't plan? Like, you didn't set your intentions and, like, it fell apart? Like I said, wet tissue paper.
I've sometimes in the podcast world, I've agreed to be parts of shows that fell apart, like almost immediately after we done like a show or two, and I'm not quite sure the reasons, but you know, we just gotta keep pushing. But it did fall apart because here I've got my hopes, like, oh, you know, we're gonna have this amazing show, and they never really had plans to make it do anything anyways. So, you know,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So it seems like they failed to plan. They failed to outline and create structure for whatever they were trying to do.
Right. And I failed to follow through as much as I should. That's the part I should have mentioned my part in it, because
Okay.
I didn't stay on them like I should have. And that's why I feel like a part of it fell apart too, because, you know, if we had a great plan, what happened in a matter of like nobody's saying nothing, nobody knows nothing, nobody, you know, so like, it's weird, but that was my bad. You know, I shouldn't have just assumed that they would keep going without me. You know what I'm saying? So.
Okay. Alrighty. So we're going to get into some steps on how we can turn things around and really make our intentions work for us. All right. So, Rosie, anything you would like to share? And you're on mute, by the way.
So you're saying, referring to what,
So was there
staying
something
away?
that,
Go ahead. No, go
was
ahead.
it something that you did in life, you didn't put enough thought and plan into it, like you didn't think it out, you just went head first, and it just fell apart?
Yeah, going to the strip club and trying to smash all you women. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So what, your pockets fell apart because of
Nah, it was just like, you know what I mean, just going after a chick because she looked good, and I'm just trying something to fuck. Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty then. Thank
Oh,
you.
did I share too much?
No. Like we can keep it real here. Like
that's what
where
makes a panel fun, is honesty.
No, we
I
can't.
think.
Okay. Von, Eric.
Business wise, yes. When I had opened a bar, I didn't do. I should have did more proper research as far as the demographic, the area, and things like that. What I was going to have in it. I went in too fast because I just wanted to own another business.
Okay.
So I didn't do proper research like I supposed to.
And that will get you every time.
Yeah.
Been there, done that. Alrighty. Wally.
Yeah, I agree with Von, Eric on this one. Yeah, the research part is really the key of it all. Even though, like, because I always say this, like, for me, like, starting my channel, if I had to rethink to actually look around other channels that follow my mainframe of what I do, then I would probably move differently than what I would have did currently beforehand.
Well, is it too late to move differently now, or are you doing?
No. That's my thing. So when I say that, right? Because what I'm saying is this: if I say based upon my channel, right, and I say to myself, okay, how much other people do this, and then amongst those people, are they professionals or are they just someone that is just prolonging it because they're doing it themselves as they go. What is really what is what they do, and then and then looking at myself, and I'll be like, okay, then I have to differentiate myself from them, so that I actually have room to actually grow. So I really did that. So yeah.
Okay. Awesome. All right. And Ms. McKinney, last but not least.
Absolutely. I'm gonna stick with the podcasting like everyone else. Jumped out there and wanted to do something and see what happens. I've had some tissue paper moments, absolutely for sure. But I've also been lucky enough to link up with people like you guys who have, helped me along the way. So yeah, I do wish that I had planned some things out a little bit better, took a different direction in some places. But hey, that's how we live and learn, right? That's how we live and learn.
Alrighty. Awesome. Thank you all for sharing that. Want to give a salute to people in the chat. Thank you for holding down Marcus, who's always giving all the shout outs. Daryl Long, the Radical, and Wealth Talk Productions. Is that you, Wally? Wealth Talk Productions.
You know it. I'm full support.
All right then. All right, so let's go in with, okay, I found a quote I think will kind of help. So every morning you have two choices: continue to sleep with your dreams or wake up and chase them. It's one thing to set intentions, write them down, think about them, whatever. But if you don't put one foot in front of the other, like you all said, do your research, lay out a plan, talk to people, find out who's doing what and how what they do can help you. Like if you don't put the work into it, then it's not going to really work. It's just going to be you spinning your wheels in mud, like literally in mud. So you have to make a choice. It's one thing to have intentions, but it's then another thing to act on them. So let's talk about, okay. So step one to kind of turn things around, making sure your intentions are set in purpose. You got to define your core values. So I'm going to read this little piece. Think about a time in your life when you were most happy, a time when you had to pinch yourself to realize that you were not dreaming. What was happening? Where were you? Who were you with? So when you look at those conditions, you look at, what things do you value? So we're going to go around again. I know this is class participation. Let's talk about your values. Is it something you really thought about? Some people don't even think about what do they really value in life, on their job or whatever. So we're going to start in opposite direction, Miss McKinney.
So now I wish you would have started in the other direction because I've got so many, right? And that's the good thing about getting older is now you start to realize that some of those little moments aren't really that little. They're just big moments that are awesome. Some of those times would be seeing my son graduate and then go off to college. Some successes that I've had in my career, even some of the little successes that I've had during doing podcasting. Like you said that, and I was sitting there thinking, I'm going to be last. That's good because I can pick one, but there's so many I really can't even pick. And what a question to make me think. I appreciate that.
But so, and also think about your values. Okay, so going down into those moments. Your core values could be stuff like friendship, relaxation, the being around music, being active. For you, it was seeing your son graduate. So accomplishments, things of that nature. So try to, sometimes it's hard to put a tangible word to your values, but if you had to, what are some things that come to mind? Being creative, those of us who are in the podcast and YouTube world, being creative is a value for us. But I'm going to stop talking and move on down the road. Ms. McKinney, you want to jump in with something else?
Hardworking.
Okay. Alrighty. So that's one of your values. That should be one of everybody's values, but
we're listing up all of them. Loyalty.
No.
Okay. Stop me because I got a list.
Just some things that stick out for you. Like, what are some of your values that you center your work around? So that's one way to help define and set your intentions. Is what do you value in life? So, Alrighty, and we'll come back and discuss that a little more.
Okay.
Wally.
All right. So the question is
It's about
around
your
your
core
work.
values.
Yeah. Core value. All right. So one of the biggest value I would say is being willing to learn no matter what at all forms.
Okay.
That's a big value. Because doing this alone, it took a lot of learning.
Okay.
So, yeah, from all aspects, either from the channel aspects to knowing what to do and what to put in, to even learn editing and everything else of that nature. So yeah, it took a lot.
See, that make you flip tables right there. Oh gosh, yeah, trying to learn all this stuff, put it together, make it work. Okay. You want to share something else?
No, I'm gonna keep it that simple.
Okay, all right. Vaughn.
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback off of Wiley. When you said learning, educating is my biggest value. Self-educate or go get an education from an establishment. But I really, that's my biggest value. Researching before and patience before you make a drastic move. That's
Okay.
my biggest value.
Alrighty, Mr. Razik.
I value honesty.
Okay.
I value the ability to be transparent. You know, and I value, you know, the ability to be truthful at all times. I hate, you know what I'm saying, liars. You know what I'm saying, sneaky. You know what I'm saying, like just sneakiness.
Okay.
Yeah, you know. Yeah.
People who try to get over and under and around without just being straightforward and adult about matters.
Nah, I mean, not even that. It's just, you know what I'm
Okay.
saying, you know, the ability to be, you know what I'm saying, transparent. You know what I'm saying? The ability
Okay.
to be, you know, visible even when it's not, you know, flattering. If
Okay.
that makes any sense. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Miss Kim.
Okay, so I value loyalty,
Okay.
I value respect, and I value a strong network because work in this industry, I've realized that your network is your net worth.
Okay.
So the people that you choose to be intentional with, you have to choose the intent behind who you're being intentional with because it works. So,
Okay. All righty. And Mr. M3. You on mute? Oh.
Okay. For me, I value time
Okay.
because you will never be able to get that back. So anyone who doesn't really value my time, I take offense to that because you could be doing so many other things. You could be spending time with other people, but when you choose to spend time with that particular person and maybe they flake or they reschedule, wherever the case may be, you just took that portion of time away from me.
Okay.
Because you'll never get it back.
Okay. I got you. Now, if y'all want to discuss, and anybody can jump in here. So think about a time when you were angry. Somebody just pushed all your buttons. And did your values come into play? Were you able to take a pause and okay, let me reflect on what I value? I'm going to just say for me, I don't get into physical fights, face-to-face things when I don't like to argue like that. But two, I don't like to fight. I just don't like, that's just not me. I will cut or shoot somebody. I'm just gonna be. That's my truth. But I value freedom. I value freedom wholeheartedly because I made some mistakes in my 20s, and I value freedom. So I just know how to avoid, having my freedom taken away from me. Anybody want to jump in on that? Like, have you been faced with something that tested you, and you had to like activate your values, whatever they may be, and say, okay, you know what? You ain't not today.
Yeah, I mean, I see. I don't think what people don't understand is that every day you be tested, whether if it's noticeable or non-noticeable. You're gonna be tested by someone. Life is gonna test you. Kids around you that's gonna test you. Hell, your co-workers or parents, whoever, they're gonna test you, and it's up to you in how you respond, how you react in a situation. And sometimes, hey, you may have to let loose, unleash the beast on them, or other times, you just gonna have to just go on about your business and just let them live another day. That's all.
Yeah. Because I keep a blade on me at all times. So just remember that, anybody that try to step to me sideways.
I'm with you guys on that one. As far as I think my mistakes were a little more recent, Miss Q, probably like in my 30s. My loyalty or my values is what drives me, I think, to want to fight. It's now that I don't necessarily have to cut you physically. I think I've graduated to possibly words or maybe even being able to be quiet, but I'm with you. But I think it's my values that make me mad enough to want to get physical or want to get with you.
All righty. Thank you. Anybody else want to jump in?
Nah, I'm just chilling.
Okay, well, look, we're gonna move on. Marcus in the comment section cutting up, talking about don't forget the value of cooking sandwiches, Marcus. Okay. Always come with the jokes, Marcus. All right, so now that you have outlined what your core values are, next you need to set your goals and make sure they are in sync with your values. Like, where do you want to go in life? I know sometimes it's hard to think even 1 year out, let alone 5 to 10 years out. But if you don't start making some kind of plans, planting some kind of seeds, preparing for your harvest, then you're going to be kind of stuck, when you get down the road. We can go back to investing. Same thing. If you don't put your money somewhere in something, invest in your time, your money, whatever. Invest in yourself into learning. So anything, so things like that. Let's just talk about some goals that we have. Like, so from here to, let's think 5 years ahead. Hopefully nobody wants to be in the exact same space. Maybe even 2 years ahead. So let's go 2 to 5 years. We're going to start with Von Eric.
2 to 5 years to accomplish goals? As far as
and then, like, what are some goals you have set for yourself? And then think about if they align with your values.
But then I would have to go back with my son because he's young now. So, I value education. So I would want a goal that he reach his highest point that he is able to reach and making us accomplish it and achieve ahead of time before he goes out in the world and try to deal with the world, how it's set up now.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Razik?
I plan to own a professional sports team.
Okay.
I plan to be on the ability to gain entry to the New York Stock Exchange.
Okay.
I plan to have about 30 million or more, and probably in the next maybe about 6.5 years. That's my goal.
Those are some awesome goals.
What team? What team? What sport?
More than likely it'll probably be the NBA.
Okay.
And if it's not the NBA, then probably my second choice would be the XFL.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if y'all have seen the news clips, but the XFL is now offering up to 45% ownership
Yeah.
at a 1.5 million price hold. You know what I'm saying? That is being owned by Dwayne The Rock Johnson and it was somebody else. I forgot his name. But yeah.
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 That would be a good one to go. Best one to go to.
Isn't his ex involved too? Dwayne Johnson's ex-girlfriend? I mean, not ex-girlfriend, but
Oh,
ex-wife.
Jennifer Lopez? Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know her exact you know what I'm saying, her exact asset hold, but yeah, she does have a significant a significant amount of money involved in that. Yes.
Yeah, I would go with the X at that one instead of the NFL or the Raider. The ones, the industry it is today, because you may own it, but then you don't own it. You piss them off, they can take ownership from you. So yeah, I would go with the X.
That's not entirely true though. That's not entirely true. And the reason why I said it is because if you understand corporations with like S corps and how they're actually designed, you know what I'm saying? Like even like say for instance, okay, let's just say like the NBA. And I ain't trying to go a rabbit hole, but just just add on to his point. But let's just say like the NBA is at 100, billion a year. You know what I'm saying? 1% or 0.008% of that would be less than like 5 mil. You know what I'm saying? Even to become a minority owner, so you would still even be able to have a seat at the table for any type of like executive moves. And that's just something that I've learned in the past few months. So,
yeah. Oh, you talking about? Oh, okay, but I was talking about more so as far as majority owner, like the LA Clippers.
Oh nah.
They took the team from them. So
yeah. And just for safety, purposes, I'm not trying to be a majority owner, but I do want to have a seat at the table of one of those teams. Yeah,
I got you. Yeah, I got you.
And this was hopefully I can be a commentator and I will be your go-to person to interview all of your players. Razik, I'm just putting that in the atmosphere.
Oh, what happened? I'm sorry. We just say that one more time.
Hopefully, I'll be your go-to person to do all of your interviews because I'm that chick. I'm that person.
Oh, shit. I mean, to be, pull up at at one of them little press, boxes. Yeah. You know what I mean?
All right. Yeah. I've been watching more football lately with my brother, and so I'm trying to learn a little something. I'm trying to expand my palate and my skill set. Hey, anywho, it's not about me right now, so we're gonna move on. Miss Kim, what are some goals you set, and do they align with your values?
Absolutely. At first, they didn't align with my values because I always said I didn't want to be a part of this industry because I've always freelanced in this industry, but I kept a 9-to-5 reality job because it paid the bills, because this industry don't just pay the bills. You have to pay the bills until it pays you, so, yeah. Going into this industry really tried my values. Like I had to have a sit down with my husband. I had to have a sit down with my family, everything when I chose to go into this industry, because I am not that in front of the camera in your face. I'm a very private person in real life. So the thought of being a celebrity or the thought of being an important like executive in a company or something like that gets a lot of attention, it literally sent me into anxiety in the beginning. So yeah.
All right, so then think about.
I got a special guest, Miss Q.
Hey, Nelson.
Hey, Miss Hughes, been a minute. How you doing?
All right, what's going on?
How everybody doing?
All
Pretty
right,
good. How
everybody.
you doing,
This
sir?
is
Work,
the
you know.
second half of Meet the Tyler.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's Mr. Tyler.
Man,
Nice to meet you, Tyler.
Yeah, nice
nice to meet
too.
you too. Likewise.
All right, so do
Did
you
you
want to
hear her
jump in this
question, babe?
conversation?
Say it again. The question.
Ask her, babe.
What was the question?
So you want to jump in? So we're talking about goals and intentions, like making plans on, where you see yourself in the next 2 to 5 years, and do your goals align with your values? What do you value in life, and do your
Honestly,
goals line up with
sorry
that?
to cut you off, but I had to learn that no goal is too high.
Okay.
No goal is too high and no goal is too low. It's different types of goals. Like I used to be the type to be like, oh no, that goal is too high. I ain't gonna be able to achieve that in that amount of time. But then as life went on, as I, experienced life, I realized that, wait a minute, ain't no goal too high. Ain't no, long as you set yourself boundaries and basically do what you can handle, and always push yourself, you're going to meet that goal,
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. And because we got more conversations, so hope you can hang around for a while. And I would be remiss if I didn't recognize my online bestie, Miss Queen.
How you doing?
What's up, Queen?
Hi, everyone. What's up,
What's
M3?
up, Queen? How you doing?
M3, the sun went down already. I don't know why you got on shade. I got a message too.
Well, I saw you coming up, so I had to be ready at all costs.
Yeah, because I'm so bright. Shine bright like a diamond. There you go. So anyway, how y'all doing?
Oh God. Okay, so we're gonna come back to you, Miss Queen, because I want you to get your thoughts together.
Okay.
All right. So when Von, Razik, Kim, so we're gonna go to Miss McKinney. So think about 2 to 5 years. What does it look like? And do your goals line up with your values?
Absolutely, they do. Hey, Miss Queen. Good to see you tonight on this platform. My goal is just to be happy. I keep preaching that midlife thing and all that good stuff. And hard work is a value of mine. I've always applied it, but in other places, like my career, making other people happy. So yes, my value of hard work aligns, as long as I put that hard work into myself now, aligns with my goal of being happy by any means necessary. Like Malcolm said, by any means necessary, this queen is going to be happy.
All righty. Thank you. All right, Wally, and then M3.
Excellent.
And then Queen. Sorry.
You gonna go M3 or should I?
Go ahead, Wally.
All right, so in the next 2 to 5 years, what do I see myself? For one, seeing my channel get monetized, that's one focus. Another one is I'm having this ideal that's gonna set up another way so I can monetize some type of form of income.
Okay.
But I don't know for sure if it's gonna fall through yet. 3 is to be able to help my family get out of this area that we're living in.
Okay.
Location overall. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
All right. M3 and then Queen.
Look,
Y'all got big shoes to fill after Razik laid out his cups.
Look. In the next 2 years, okay, I want to make sure that, look, 1, get out of debt. 2, retire myself while still working at the same time because I like doing what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And 3, well, shoot, it might not even be 2 years from now. Shoot, it might be 2 months from now. But hopefully we get the Notch Relationships crew, monetized. We're very close to it. I'm not going to, say the numbers. I'll let you guys, watch it yourselves. But hopefully, like, we get up to where we want to be at, and maybe Queen could finally, like, get her what's it called, reparations, like that.
That's right. I'm coming for you. I know where you live. I want my check. I'm gonna see you in court if I don't get my money. I need my knowledge of relationships and reparations. You right.
Reparations and relationships. Yeah. So yeah. So hopefully we get up there though. I mean, I know we will. So.
Alrighty. And Queen, I know you got a whole lot of stuff on your goal list.
The main thing, I want to be able to, I mean, so much is happening and it's like right there. I just want to go and come as I please.
Okay.
Me and the king, I just want us to be able to go and come as we please. We're like inches away from these things happening. There are so many opportunities that if I could multiply myself, I could take them all. I have to say no to a lot of stuff that's coming my way. But, yeah, that's the main goal. I want to be able to come and go as I please. I want to be able to, within the next 2 years, but I really believe it's going to happen way before that. Be able to, do my little self-care with my colleagues, and him, and just go anywhere and say it's a business trip. Like that's where I'm at. I'm on the edge of like major things happening. So I really feel like I just want to stay grounded, mentally and emotionally, so that I can really walk into it and not run into it and fall. That makes sense.
Okay.
So yeah.
You said go and come as you please. You think you Neo in the Matrix?
I am.
Okay.
I am.
I got you.
Hey, Vaughn, Eric. Ain't nobody asked for the peanut gallery. You know what I mean?
I got you. See, Neo. Okay, I got you.
Right. I am the new Neo. No, I'm not the Neo. My better half is the Neo.
Okay, but the reason I said Neo, because the other half, his other half, they won together.
That's right.
They won.
Right.
So when I say Neo, I'm saying the Queen, and when I'm saying the Queen, I'm saying Neo.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
But the K comes before the Q.
I got you.
And I think I'll let M3 come. I don't know about that. We might put him on Amtrak or something. We can't hear you, M3.
I went to ask what's her name, Miss McKinney. She said midlife. What does she mean by? I just want to see where her heart is.
Okay, because I'm 45 and ain't no midlife over here.
Right.
Oh,
so what she mean by midlife? She's at a midlife crisis, or midlife? The part is where she's at in her life.
The part is where I'm at in my life is midlife. Yes.
Okay.
There's been no crisis yet, and I think that's because I'm sticking to my core values and deciding to do what it takes to make me happy. Yes.
I got it. Thank you. I just wanted to get clarity.
But I consider seeing 90 a blessing as well. I'm just
yes, ma'am.
Right. I got you.
Yes, ma'am, indeed. So my goals include, I want to be at Oprah status. Can I get there in 5 years? It's possible. But in 2 years, I want to have my own show, TV show, or radio show that's syndicated around the world. Like, I want that for myself. And I want to have an office space, preferably in my home, that's all plushed out. I'm a true girl at heart, so it's going to be all pink and chrome and gold. Anyway, I see myself sitting at my computer, preparing for my next show and having an assistant taking my calls. And I value high quality. I value, like M3 said, time. I value structure. And I also want to be at a place where I can give back. I want to help fund, if not completely fund, one endowment or scholarship, you know, to some underprivileged group that serves young ladies, specifically teenagers. So, yeah, those are things that are on my goal list.
So when you say TV show, you talk about TV show on like a main network or the new,
Well,
they got, or you
it
talk
may,
about TV show as far as, because they got a new thing out now that they will broadcast your show through like Hulu, Roku, and things like. Are you talking in that aspect or main network?
if it starts out on Roku or whatever other network, sure. But eventually, yes, I would love to be on a major network. And that may be, 10 years versus 5. But you know what? I serve a higher power who can do anything. So,
Right.
and as long as I'm putting in the work, I'm keeping myself in alignment, I'm walking with intentions and purpose, I am not going around essing on people, just to come up, then y'all know I'm not really a cursor, but you know what I mean. I'm not stepping on people just to rise up, anyway.
Yeah, it was interesting. Razik, you said about owning a team. So when you invest, you want to sit on the board. When you go on the board, what changes that you want to have when you first get on the board when it comes? Because it's not many of us that sits on the board.
Yeah.
What change that you want to have when you go sit on the board of a sports team?
Well, I mean, I'm not really going to have any type of executive power by becoming, a minority owner. So in order to have, executive, voting rights, or to be persuasive enough, you would have to own or become a, majority shareholder, owner. So, that isn't necessarily, a goal of mine. And I don't care about, making a change. I think things are fine the way they are. But my concern is just, the money. To be honest, all I care about, is the money. I mean, and not to say like that's all I care about, but I mean, that is the ultimate goal. We do, like no matter like what you do, everything always revolves around some money. But like I said in the back chat, I do have a question for everybody on the panel, because and this may be controversial in a lot of ways, but I'm noticing, and I was having a conversation with somebody probably about maybe about a week and a half ago, and I said the way media is going now, the market is already saturated, rated, like highly. And I made this analogy, and I'm going to give it to everybody here. In the 80s and the 90s, there was a trope that was always mentioned, and it said, either you sling crack rock or you got a wicked jump shot. So, and I say that to say, there was a trope trying to illustrate that either you're going to play sports or you're going to sell drugs in order to, make it. Now, to fast forward that, or to finish my, comparison, in this technological age, right? Everybody wants to be on YouTube, and I don't know why. I think people are very lazy in finding other creative ways. You know what I'm saying? Everybody can't have a TV show. Everybody can't have the #1 podcast. Everybody can't be the #1 TikToker. It's impossible. It's impossible. Even by a metric number of standards, it is impossible, because the market is overcrowded. It is entirely overcrowded. and
We
I'm probably,
agree.
but and I just wanted, to put that out there, and obviously one of your ladies said that she does agree. Does everybody else agree, or what's y'all's thoughts?
Oh, let me myself. All right, I'll say this. This reminds me of how like Uber and Lyft, how their business kind of started. Now like because I think Uber started first. When Uber came out, like they didn't have like a lot of drivers, but drivers that did took over, they had like a lot of routes, a lot of pickups. So there was this big hype that if you join Uber, man, you could quit your job. You could make $100 or $200,000 like a year because you're making so much money just off of driving, but nobody wasn't really thinking about the expenses and the longevity of it. So to fast forward things, more people started getting into Uber. Okay. And although we still have our low taxes or whatever, they still haven't been fully part of the job. But you have regular people, who doesn't really have like the people skills signing into like Uber. So now you have a whole community of Uber drivers to the point that Uber became oversaturated. Now business boomed off for them, but who did it affect the most? The drivers. Because now you could barely find anybody to pick up because you have this driver on this location, that driver on that location. Uber used to cut off, okay, they used to take a 20% cut. And then it moved up to like, 25%. I don't know how much it is now. I'm for sure like maybe it'll probably increase over time. Of course, inflation is going to be the excuse of it.
But they offer benefits now.
Oh well, that's
because
they
were gonna get shut down at one point. So if you drive a certain amount of hours, you have, which then it becomes like a regular job because you have to meet these criteria where before you were just open to do whatever. But if you drive a certain amount of hours, they offer you medical and dental because that's why the government was going to shut them down at one point. Yeah.
Well, with the medical
and then they also oversaturated because before you had to have your car, then they started offering, they would finance you a car. I mean, your payments was like $600-700, I think every 2 weeks or something like that. But if you're driving, you made it and you didn't have to worry about qualifying for a car on your own. And now Lyft, what they do is they rent you a car. I think they both, instead of financing now, they do a rent-a-car program where they get you a rent-a-car, you pay a certain amount a week. And if you drive a certain amount, you can just keep it and, whatever.
Yeah, they was falling under what they was doing, because I had the same problem when I had my contracting company. When they had people drive under, they was saying that people was 1099, but the things they was offering to people, it went into the law as far as them being an employees. So and they was doing that because they was, didn't want to pay, like what you said, like Miss Queen said about the benefits and stuff like that. So the things they was offering, because it was, my insurance company was coming, because I had to give my 1099 phones. Once I gave them a phone, it falls under a W-2. It could be looked at that they're an employee, not a 1099.
Yeah, but the whole point of me even bringing like Uber up is going back to like Raziq's comment. YouTube is oversaturated with a lot of content creators, and not everyone is built for content creation. If all this stuff was going to be equal, look, everybody would be having a slice of the pie. Yeah, there's money out for everyone, but not everyone is going to get discovered. You have some people, You start up a YouTube channel within a few days or maybe a few hours, and then boom, the algorithm gives them the most attention, and now they have a certain fan base of subscribers. Whereas, like, you probably had started your YouTube channel like 10 years ago, and you had to slowly, gradually move up. So everything is not going to be equal for someone, and you have to try to find the best hot topics to engage into your audience. Because now these days, everyone has an attention deficit. You log into something, you watch something for a few minutes, man, you're ready to tune out most of the time. So I do agree to what you were saying, Razik, earlier, that everybody can't be like a YouTuber. Now, as far as like, doesn't make them lazy, that part, honestly, I'm not really for sure. So it's not like I'm going to disagree, but it's like a question mark in my head. Because the thing is, it takes a lot of work to even do content creation. But I guess if the motive is you don't like hard labor, and if you think that's the easy scapegoat, then maybe we could drift into saying that, okay, that person's being lazy.
Well, okay, so let me kind of clarify, if I may. When I say lazy, you know what I'm saying? Not like saying that, I mean, because, pretty much like anything you do, you're going to have to work, you know what I'm saying? Regardless, right? But I'm saying like the prerequisite in getting involved in, YouTube and Instagram and, all these little, social media, outlets. I think, it's like it's kind of creating a level of laziness because of how easy it is. It's not like like 15, years ago where you really had to have, a buildup of, having a set, like qualifications of being able to say, okay, well, I graduated from this college, I have this degree, I'm qualified to do this. I did some type of internship for like 2 years, a year and a half. And I slowly like moved up. Like the entry level to YouTube is extremely low. Because all it takes is a phone and some internet. That's all it is. And everybody, all of us, we all have an opinion about whatever it is. And just by me being an observer, which is the main reason why I brought that up, because I know some people keep asking me. They be like, well, the way I talk, you ought to have your own channel. And every time I push back on it, I have no desire to want to get into YouTube at all. And I'm almost to the point, that I really don't even like it. Just to be honest, because, and I don't like it because, particularly with black folk, and this is just, what I'm saying. And again, it's going to be a very, pushy issue. But a lot of these conversations are very circular, just to be honest. And there are a lot of people that I've never heard of. And it's like they're all having the exact same conversation and getting nowhere. This is why I say the market is is overcrowded. And again, I've been a main advocate of saying, I rarely see, more so of people talking about money and the value of that, how to leverage that. How to get into the stock market, and which is a huge untapped market. I don't know if y'all know this, but almost over 80% of foreign countries are not even involved in the market. And I say that to say because in the long term, what I think is going to happen, based off the things that I've read so far, is that when people start to have resources that allow them to invest off of the phone, brokerage accounts, when you look at Charles Schwab, JP Morgan and Chase, E-Trade, et cetera, the market is going to boom. And it's going to boom so much. Like if you ever know anything about like quantitative easing, the money is going to become so valuable that if you're not investing, it's almost going to be impossible for you to even get in because the entry level is going to continuously increase. So just something to kind of, to put out there.
I just think, well, it depends on, I do agree it's oversaturated, but I think if you go by what Miss Jones the questions that she's been asking, if you let that be your focal point in whatever you do, even though it's oversaturated, you can accomplish your goal. You just have to come up with different ways, research whatever you want to do. Like one of my best journalists that I like is Brian Gumbel. The way he asks questions and the way he go about his segment on the Real Sports, even though it's oversaturated, even on cable, you have different sports shows, but he's been number one for years due to his talent and due to what he applied to get to where he is. There's a lot of people, it's oversaturated in sports, but look at the people that do make it in acting, but look at the people that do make it. That doesn't mean you can't make it. You just have to, like she's been saying, as far as your value, what you want, even you want to go on to an oversaturated as far as owning a sports team or be owner to be invested in. You know how many people that wants to do that? How many millionaires? How many billionaires? But yet you can accomplish it because of your value. So you can still get to number one or get to number 4, number 5.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys, I wanted to dip out.
Okay.
But this was definitely like a great show. So as always, but I'll see you guys next time.
Thank you, M3.
All right.
I see you, M3.
All right, no problem. All right, take
it easy, brother.
I would like to add something else and then still keep the floor open for everyone else to jump in on the question. I want to say welcome to Alonzo Hall. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so my input on that question is, welcome. Yes, I would love to be on TV, radio, and everything like that. However, I already have one business. I can't talk about it too much because I'm still in the building phases of it, but it's outside of media. It is going to create quite a bit of income, once I really get into it. There are other business ideas that I've had. I have a list in my notes section on my phone of other ways that I want to expand myself to utilize my skills and talents, such as an accessories line, makeup line. I'm a community-based person, so I want to do life coaching, things of that nature. And then I also, again, by me making money in my other ventures, I want to help fund someone else. I want to be that person that takes that application for a grant that can help, if not pay all of it, pay the majority of it. So yes, I want to be in the media space. Everything I'm doing is not just for me. I want to make sure my son has something to fall back on whenever it is my time to go. If I do have grandchildren, whatever the case may be, I want to leave a legacy. So, and that's just my take on it. That's just me. But being in the media, being in front of the camera, that's a means to an end, and I actually love it. Vaughn mentioned how he loves how Brian Gumbel speaks. There are certain people that I only watch when it comes to newscasters and podcasters and people on YouTube. I like their perspective, how they talk. And it's not because I always agree with them. They just have a way of presenting the information in a way that grabs my attention. But I'm going to fall back and I'm going to give everyone else a chance to answer the question. Queen, would you like to jump in?
Yeah, let me jump in real quick.
Who? Wally? Okay.
Yeah,
Wally.
So to Razi's question, right? So to YouTube being oversaturated, I mean, that's obviously true. I mean, there's about probably billions of YouTubers out here, one way or another. But to ultimately say, are people lazy? It's a catch-22 because, you know, in most cases, yes, and in other cases, no. I think more cases than not, I have to ask myself, what is your intentions on being on YouTube more than anything else? That's the first thing. Because I'll say most cases than not, most people are just doing it as a hobby. And most people say, hey, but if it gets to 1K, it's like they'll work it out in another way, right? If it get monetized, yeah, they'll do something else amongst that. But see, but that's my whole thing, right? You just doing it, just do it. You just get a kick out of it for what it is for the time being. But for me, I always said this was just, it's a nice plot for me to say, here's something I like to wrap myself around, but it's not going to be the end all be all, right? And I'm just giving you a nice premise of what I'm working with and what I want to work around in the near future. But also, I also sit here and say, there's a lot of groundwork with doing a YouTube channel, especially when you're the main one doing the whole thing on your own self, because there's the editing process, there's the understanding of the analytics, knowing when to do a post or do anything of all these natures, you know, on all this wraparound, like what's making you more seeable or expired amongst your content overall. There's a whole lot of getting and going in this to the point where you have to look at it. Because my thing is right now, right? So one of the big things that I had to do to really develop my game is to actually start learning how to edit. Because I'll say this, for my past work, I probably did more live streams than anything else. And in that same sense to Raji's question, that is more of a sense of being lazy, because you can just click a button and say, hey, go live, and then just talk from that point on. But when it comes to doing that editing, that's a whole different ballgame. You cut it in and out the moment you make a mistake, all that yin yang yo. So you always got to rinse and repeat yourself every single time you're trying to do the editing process. So now it's like, see, and especially when you're doing it on your own, now you really got to really do that heavy work and load. And then to top it off, use every other skill set you have to understand. Because right now, me learning editing, someone I know right now, they wanted to see what I can do with editing because they want me to help them. I showed them what I can do. They saw the video and they were actually, decently surprised with my work. And, they're willing to work with me when they have the time to actually connect with me and see what I can do for them amongst whatever they want me to do for them. So, and from that point on, also understanding this as well, because this also can get you in other markets, not just as an editor, but also as quote unquote their social media manager and whatnot like that. Because this is a social media and you're understanding that analytic board and you understand everything that goes wrapped around in it. So it's like, for instance, if you notice a lot of things about a lot of people's videos, one way or another, like if they talk about this type of topic or something like this, what hits. So it's like, what can transcend or what can move the ship. So of course, that stuff. So that's also another nice player wraparound. But my thing is this, I always say this, when it comes to YouTube, there is a limit, right? There's a limit to this thing. Because my thing is, just because you know analytics, you don't know any other analytics that's similar to YouTube that works the same way. Like you can say, hey, just because you're on YouTube, that means you're only limited to what? You're limited to the Twitch type of analytics, you're limited to the other formalities of it. But that doesn't mean everyone else rides the same wave of those analytics. So my thing is, just because you got a good flat line with analytics doesn't mean you know every version of analytics out there amongst other people in their system. Everyone got different system.
Hey, so, Wally, I'm also add to that too, but and let me be clear. I'm not projecting, what I'm saying, to anybody specifically, but I am being transparent, in a way to where I don't know if nobody else has paid attention to it, but the landscape of media is drastically going to change. And I was telling my man the other day, I was like, eventually ESPN will no longer exist. Like cable TV, like if this keeps going the way that it has been going, like cable TV will no longer exist. And I would probably say in the next probably about 7 or 8, 9 years. You know what I'm saying? when you look at how like the automotive industry is now, you know what I'm saying, changing, we're now living in a new industrial age to where, you know, it's a lot different when the first Model T Ford had came out. You know what I'm saying? When that was a huge boom and everybody wanted, you know what I'm saying, an automobile, right? Now, when you look at how even the engines are being built, even Tesla now has a big, huge, you know, competition when you have GM, Ford, you know, other, you know what I'm saying, companies, you know, Rivian as well, that are really, you know what I'm saying, trying to outpace, you know what I'm saying, to, you know, to beat the big dogs. So, you know, I'm just, you know, offering some real intro, you know what I'm
Visuals.
saying, yeah, you know what I'm saying, and just in how the landscape of things. I mean, hell, I mean, and that also applies to everything. I mean, hell, you can look at it from the healthcare industry to real estate to the fashion, you know what I'm saying, industry, like QB has said, even the makeup line, because now every female, she wants to have an eyelash and a makeup line. You know what I'm saying? And then you got, you know what I'm saying, dudes who, you know, everybody is trying to be, you know what I'm saying, a rapper. You know what I'm saying? You know what I
Right.
mean? And even when you look at it, like every league has like a max capacity hold. Everybody can't make it to, you know what I'm saying, the NBA. Everybody can't
Right.
be, you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying, and so, you know, I'm just saying that because there's so many other lanes that nobody's like really paying attention to and tapping in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
and I'm
Right.
not trying to really, you
Um.
know, and I'm not like really trying to, you know, discourage nobody, but just to really add some, you know, valuable added insight. You know what I'm saying? Maybe,
Yeah.
you know, that's all.
Yeah. Yeah. I
That's
know.
all.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah. Because even to what you said about the rapper, right? Here's another add on to that one, because a lot of rappers underground, they could be dope, but my thing is because they don't got that spark or that flash of, you know, attractability, they're not in the TV scenes, which more likely is, you know, is gatekeeping all that other stuff, right? Or, you know, whatever it is. And that slows that visual stance of them even being known to anything. So of course it shortens their cap, while the other big stars that are in the big scenes and in the contracts and in these labels are actually seen overall. But that's the, you know, that's the battle and the position you choose to take. So I mean, you have to work around that.
Okay. Well, thank y'all. I want to give some other people opportunity if y'all don't mind. We can come back around. This is a great introspective topic. Thank you, Razik. Um, Queen, the Tylers, Alonzo. Who would like to jump in next? You're on mute. Okay.
Okay, so to add to what they were saying, it's absolutely true. Like, I feel like that if people would accept their lane and not try to invade other people's lanes and compete where there's no competition, like, there can only be one Michael Jordan. That's why he's Michael Jordan. Like, so that doesn't mean that you're not gonna have a great show, just like I have a great show. That don't mean that I'm trying to take your spot in the ratings. I'm just trying to get a spot. So, you know, yeah, I've taken the process of learning editing from day one. I've taken the process, like, I didn't want anybody to be able to say, well, you wouldn't have this if it wasn't for me. Like, and a lot of times when you're a creative, people, well, absolutely, you know, they have whole lawsuits about stealing creative ideas nowadays. So, you know, people needs to be really careful and just be intentional. Like you always say, like, be intentional with every show you make, be intentional with the background to it, the editing to it, and find your lane. You got anything to add?
Yeah, I feel the same way though. Like everybody can't be a Michael Jordan, and everybody can't be the Michael Jackson. You know what I'm saying? Like basically, find something you good in, and be the Michael
Be
Jordan
great
at
at
that.
it, right?
You know?
Can y'all talk about something else that y'all do? How you take your love of food and cooking, and you are
Mhm.
trying to explore that realm. So while you may still post videos, you are going out and who knows, maybe one day you'll have a restaurant. yes, that industry could be a little saturated, but there's only one you.
Right.
Right. Yep. And that comes with like not being scared to try different ingredients, like thinking outside the box, basically. You know, what would somebody won't do? You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And do it.
And do it.
Right.
And be great at it. And you know.
Hey,
There's
look,
a million hustles in this world. Choose more than one and do them. You know?
Definitely, you gotta have more than one hustle these days.
hey, look, yeah, y'all mind if I add one more thing? I'm sorry.
No, yeah.
I just want to say too. I think one key caveat is all of this is censorship, and I bring that up because if they ever open up censorship to where it's more adult like, I think you're going to see a different landscape happen. To where a lot of people who use a lot of vulgar language or colorful, language are more offensive, in their viewpoints and how they talk. I think you're going to, I think it's going to be a lot harder for a lot of people who are not inclined to using that type of language or having people who have those particular type of views, which is going to be harder for some other people to, maintain a spot. And case in point, when you look at Rudy Ray Moore, that was an example. When you look at Howard Stern, look at the market that of what he was able to do based upon how he was and how he spoke, and the type of topics that he was really able to cover. And even then how, a lot of, stations were trying to, censor him. I think, that censorship, the way that it's happening now, even with like Twitter, because a lot of people have been banned off of Twitter, based upon how they speak. So I think, looking at, censorship as a whole, if that lane ever opens up, to allow a lot more people who have a lot more extremist views, I think it's going to be a lot harder, to solidify a spot. Because at the end of the day, it all boils down to the money. If this wasn't a financial lucrative, type of market, many people would not be involved in this, because it would just literally be a waste of time. Because at the end of the day, the money is the deciding factor. We all have bills, we all have a lifestyle that we desire to attain. So, you're not just doing this for, the sake of doing it. Ultimately, you want to get paid.
If I can, though, or for kind of a little bit of the initial question about the saturation, right? I speak to that in self-employed sections all the time. Why? Because there is going to be, that competition. Yes, there is only one Michael Jordan. There is only one Mike Tyson. There is only one, Muhammad Ali. But after Muhammad Ali, there was Mike Tyson. After Michael Jordan, there was Kobe Bryant. After Kobe Bryant, there is LeBron James. And there will be someone after LeBron James, right? And when you look down the bread aisle, there's a bunch of different breads, right? It's an entire aisle of bread. But in that entire aisle of bread, there's something for everyone. Otherwise, that particular bread wouldn't be there, right? Now, some last longer than others, and some do better numbers than others. But it's just like making it to the NBA. The thing is to push yourself in whatever endeavor it is that you're in, far enough to make it to that bread aisle. Because for the 1,000 different varieties of bread that you do see in the bread aisle, for every one of those 1,000 that did make it, there are 1,000 that didn't make it. So that's, a million that didn't make it. But don't worry about those that didn't make it, because there's still 1,000 breads in the bread aisle. So make it to be one of those. You might not be Wonder Bread, or you might not be the household name like Kleenex, right? because when when people ask for a tissue, they don't say, "Do you want a tissue? Do you want a facial wipe?" They say, "You want Kleenex?" Right? And it'd be Walmart Great Value brand, but you're still gonna call it Kleenex. Not everything gets done like that. So you can kind of make yourself a brand. And when it comes to things like YouTube or social media, this is a strange arena, right? For example, you were speaking to maybe the vernacular or the choice of words or sentence enhancements that one may choose to use in their content. And then if it goes even further to censorship or the lack thereof, do you get situations like Howard Stern, etc.? The question and the danger behind that, however, is with so much censorship, and I tend to look at things on a global scale, and here in America, for all intents and purposes, you might as well call us North Koreans. And why do I say that? Because we know nothing of the outside world. When I say that, I mean we know nothing of what's going on outside of America in the main scheme of things. Pray for Ukraine, but we don't really know what's going on, right? If you were mentioning things like financial markets, people want to do trading and stuff and then don't know what the NK is, and that's not Nike. You know what I mean? So maybe someone who can speak the language of everyone, or can convey their message to anyone, can help one make out in terms of that proverbial bread, if you will, if that makes sense. I'll stop there.
All right, thank you for the insight, Vaughn.
No, I would just say he said we don't know what goes in other countries. What does he mean? What do you mean by that, Alonzo? We don't know as far as what?
For the most part, Americans are very ignorant on geopolitical things.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, like I feel like what he's saying is like people only know what our media shows us. Like they don't go outside of American media to see what's actually reported by other people. So if we haven't visited there, lived there, if we don't have an insight into what goes on from here, we only know what the media tells us, and we know that censorship only allows what they allow. So like he said about like the Ukraine, we only know what they're presenting to us as if it's a bad thing. But if you listen to videos of people from there, they're like, we're not necessarily mad that the power is changing. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's presentation, screen presence, and knowing, like he said, knowing geopolitical moves can help you motivate your way, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. I'm getting confused myself. So
yeah, I see. Yeah, I see your point, but I also think I see your point, Tyler, the Tylers, which is a great point. I just think that it also depends on where you're getting your information from. Sky News. You got Sky News that does a lot of reporting over there. Al Jazeera does a lot of reporting over there, which they go into more details. You got the Real News Network. They go into details. Then you got geopolitical politics, like Alonzo said, that reports. So it also depends on where you get your news and how far you go in your research also. You got
right, and that's what I was saying. Most Americans don't go outside of their Yahoo News or their Google News. That's what I'm saying. You're responsible to go outside of those top search and those top reporters and those top channels, and go look at the people that actually go there and report there. Look at the people who
I got you. It's like some people just watch Fox News. They don't go out of Fox News. They don't
right. That's what I'm saying.
Even the first thing they read or the first thing they see.
Right.
I got you.
And look, and also another part of that is like the clickbait, because the clickbait is actually what's killing the media. You know what I'm saying? When you really look at it, because so many people will just click on something because it has a enticing either photo or a headline, and nobody's really
Right.
doing the research to actually read the full article in detail to really understand the whole, you know what I'm saying, photo or the landscape of what is actually happening. I see so
Mhm.
many people, you know, I mean, and just from a wide range of races, you know what I'm saying, you know, male, you know, men and your women, and they'll say, okay, well, I seen this, or they might send me something, and I'll be like, well, did you actually read it? And then the first thing they say was, nah, I didn't. I just saw the headline. I think it's interesting. I'm like, well, how do you know it's interesting? You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and I'm just saying that to a point, because when you really look at, you know what I'm saying, society in the past, you know what I'm saying, 2 or 3 decades, and how it's actually transpired from how we receive, you know what I'm saying, you know, information, and how we utilize that for, you know, our viewpoint on society, and to, you know, evolve that into a talking point, is really not conducive in becoming a smarter, you know what I'm saying, and becoming a smarter, you know, human being, because, you know, our attention span is actually drawn down. So,
Yes.
you know, people are not reading as much. They're reading less, and they're focusing more on the podcast, or because a person has a certain, you know, popular, you know, larity. And I'm gonna say
Popularity.
this too. And I'm gonna say this too, right? And I'm gonna use Anton Daniels as a caveat to tie into my point, because I've actually chilled with him, and I met his wife, and, you know, I was there in Detroit, and, you know, we had an awesome time. You know, the one difference that I realized with Anton is this: you know, Anton really did put in the work. Like, he really did read. He really did educate himself to get, you know, to a point to where, you know, he talks and lives everything that he says. Like, there's no cap in that man's rap, yo, at all. And you know, it was just very insightful, you know, to actually see, because so many younger folks, you know what I'm saying, particularly younger than me, you know what I'm saying, you know, mid-20s, you know what I'm saying, whatever, they're so quick to hop on the wave, you know what I'm saying, as you know, as they say,
To take
because
them
they see
steps.
because they see everybody else doing it. Or they look at Drink
Mhm.
Champs, they look at Joe Budden, they look at Wally and Gillo, Wallow and Gilly, and, you know what I'm saying, and, you know, and Revolt, and, you know, Young Miami, and, you know what I'm saying, you know, all these people, you know what I'm saying,
Right.
you know, who substantially have enough capital to really build a platform in less than 24 hours, versus most of us who got like 75K, 100K, you know what I'm saying, jobs, but you can only allocate a few hundred a week, or a few thousand a month, you know what I'm saying, whatever.
Mhm.
And so when you really look at the metrics of the numbers, you really have to ask yourself, how can you compete? Because in any
Right.
market,
Right.
there's always competition. Even when you look
Mhm.
at OnlyFans and the girls who were doing that, the competition is stiff. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? It is very stiff. You know what I'm saying? There's only
Mhm.
a small minuscule of girls who meet the aesthetic look, who are able to attract a certain crowd, and able to substantiate that type of money. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, over time, and even then, that's only like a certain time period, because then, you know, of course, we all know, like, you're not going to stay young and healthy and beautiful forever. You know what I'm saying? Your body is going to,
Right.
you know what I'm saying, you know, wither, wear and tear over the years. And then while you're trying to maintain a level of presence, you know what I'm saying, because that's what's gotten you that type of money, here comes somebody else, you know what I'm saying, coming in, bum rushing you out of the way. You know what I'm saying? And now you fighting hard trying to compete, and they're just doing it efforts of, you know, a much more less effort, because they're younger, hotter, faster. You know what I'm saying? You know, so I'm just saying that in any market, you're going to have to, you know what I'm saying, compete. But ultimately,
Mhm.
going back to my original point, and which is why I was talking about like the financial market, because it's an untapped market. because it's, obviously it takes a lot of time to research, read, to understand, what you need to do. Most people don't even have, the money, or the money that they do have, they want to hold on to it so tight that they, because they're scared of the market and they don't understand. And then, and because they're so behind the 8 ball, now they're like, okay, well, I heard this, I know what an ETF is, and I'm not sure about VOO and this and that and the third. Where do I put my money at? How long do I have to wait? What is the rate of return? And you know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot that goes into that as well. But
If I
which
could
is why
speak to that,
go ahead. I'm sorry, bro. Go ahead.
as a financial professional myself, so the concerns that you are addressing right now it's funny because like we'll have a lot of people who are consultants or do credit repair, this, that, and the third. And one of the, especially in the African American community, you'll hear often is they'll kind of down talk those that don't want to be entrepreneurs, which if you're self-employed and selling a product, you're not an entrepreneur, you're just self-employed. We'll talk about that later. But we'll put barriers in the way. One of the memes that I saw was someone said, it's strange because with my $500 client, it's like, oh, I need you to hold my hand and da 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 da. And with the $50,000 client, it's like checks in the mail. And while that may be true, there's reasons behind that. And one of the main reasons behind that, and actually I learned this at the CAAFP at 2021, which is the Conference of African American Financial Professionals, hosted by the American College of Financial Services. Check it out, www.theamericancollege.edu. But at any rate, so we don't teach our own community this stuff, right? And I went live earlier today with a mentor of mine who's an MDRT qualifier, $1 million round table, the top 1% of financial professionals across 70 countries. One of the things that he said, and it was actually in a Yahoo Finance article, Black financial professionals often have a harder time, even when we are MDRT caliber, because our own community doesn't quite understand how money works. So I say all that to say that $500 client needs you to hold their hand, because it took a whole lot more for that person to accumulate and have expendable that $500 than it did for that person to come up with that 50 grand. Now, all things subjective, yes, it takes a lot of work to get up $50,000. But the client who comes to you and needs you to hold their hand with $500 had to bleed to get that $500, right? Now, again, I'm not diminishing the blood, sweat, and tears of the person who just writes the check for 50 grand. But that's another thing too. Right? There are barriers to entry in a lot of this. For example, you were saying things like VOO, QQQ. I see a lot of places where people will say, hey, I invest in Vanguard ABC and this, that, and the third. And, it's great. And one of the things that's disappointing, what I tend to hear is, hey, listen, I'm a financial advisor. Why don't you come sit with me? And they'll say, okay, well, I'll come sit with you when my money's right. And, I say, well, you wouldn't say to a physical trainer, I'll wait till I'm a chiseled Adonis to come see you. You say, no, let me come see you, and then I'll hop in the gym with you, and then there we go. But with finances, we kind of think it backwards. And one of the things that also ends up not happening is, again, us as the financial professional, we don't teach you guys, right? I like to educate my client so much so that you really don't need me except for on the point of sale. So again, those barriers to entry are literally financial, and it makes it harder for the average earning person makes $75,000, $120,000 a year. You're really still not in a position to invest at that point, right? At this point, to be honest, to be an accredited investor, a single person needs to have an annual income of about $200,000 to $250,000 a year for the past 3 years, expected to do so the following year. Otherwise, you really have no business saying investing in your lexicon. And the average investment, to be honest, if you go to, for example, Fidelity, so on and so forth, the minimum is generally going to be $10,000, which equates to an $834 a month payment. It's actually 833 point something something something, but $834 a month, 834 times 12 is 10,000. So that's the minimum barrier of entry for investment. But when you go to places like JP Morgan Chase Bank, if you go to Chase Bank in your local area now and you speak to private client, those are investment managers. Generally, you're going to come into any investment manager with 500,000 or more and net worths of above 5 million. Now, here's where I have a love-hate relationship with things like Robinhood, Stash. You see me showing off my wedding ring. Husbands unite in the building. We bully men into being husbands. But in terms of, building your portfolio or being able to get to the desired outcome, or even participate in playing the game, right, and make yourself even able to compete, you have to kind of get through those barriers of entry. So those things like those small ETFs, like I just diminished, those are very valuable for you to get into and to be able to learn how to even read those charts. One thing that I dislike very much is crypto. However, it gives it removes that barrier of entry.
Okay, so I want to ask you this a lot.
The book where everyone starts at rookie.
All right, since we have all these financial people that love to talk about money and all things in between, how about we do another show, starting with the Finances for Dummies? Because I'm one of those people, while I know a little, I know probably not enough to really sit down and have an in-depth conversation. I'm one of those people, I guess I can read, I can analyze, I can, take information and break it down. However, there are still many aspects of the financial world that, will still evade me. So would y'all be up for discussion on Finances for Dummies? Because again, there's a big portion of the Black community especially that simply don't even know, like all those terms you threw out there. Only because I was in a trading group last year, I know a few things. However, there's still so much more to uncover. And I'm still learning about the little nuances of how to build credit without doing it the old-fashioned way, which is just paying off debts. There's still other ways to build your credit and get to a place that you need to be. So I'm offering you a spot on one show one day. Would you all be willing to have the conversation?
Yeah, I'm down for it. That's what my content's about, basically.
Yeah, I think we're all open to that.
Yeah. Hey, look, I've always been a huge advocate of money. Ever since I've read this book. Q, you already know, I have mentioned this book a lot. This is a very valuable book. If you have not read this book, go buy it. It's less than $30. Incredible. You have no idea what you are missing out if you have not read that book. I promise you. Promise you.
What they always say, right? The best kept secrets are in the books. The books. I've always been a huge advocate of it. Somebody had told me to read. I was like, who the hell is Tony Robbins? Until I actually read it, and I read probably like 15 to 20 pages a day. That's it. It's a 634 page read.
You know what I'm saying? And I read it in what, probably about less than a month and a half. And I will never look at the money the same way that I once did before I had read that book. I can't. I know too much now. So even going back to what, you know what I'm saying, QB was saying, and even Alonzo, you know what I'm saying, you know, we've had plenty of combos, and you know, it is a huge untapped market. I mean, incredibly huge. And even what, you know what I'm saying, QB had said earlier in the live stream when she was like, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you said something about, you know, you were in the market and, you know, at a different space in your life, and, you know, you just kind of like left it alone. But and, you know, and even going back to what I was saying earlier, like, you know, over 80% of the entire continent of Africa doesn't even have the ability to even own a phone, because they don't have no towers over there, because they don't have no internet. You know what I'm saying? So think about, like, and when you look at, like, you know, the national debt, you know what I'm saying, which is at about what, 30 trillion, you know what I'm saying, trillion, you know what I'm saying, trillion. And when you look at what the GDP was in you know, probably about 20 to 25 years ago, we're talking like almost like a 400% increase. A 400%.
We have no export anymore. That's the problem. So, as a nation, we're nothing but consumers. Everything we do is import. No longer, however, is it just import from China. For example, a few years, maybe not everybody's favorite person, but Donald Trump had a clothing line. A lot of those clothes were made in Pakistan.
Facts.
And so
facts.
You know,
facts. But look, you know, and not to cut you off, but to tie it all down to it, right, is that the reason why I brought up the GDP, because $1 was way more valuable in 1950 than it is now.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So think about what that $1 is going to be worth in the next 50 years.
Actually, there was already a study on that in 2020. If you put $100,000 away, even in an interest-bearing account, and this was prior to Biden coming in with the inflation, doing the hyperinflation, but $100,000 from 2020 to 2030, that $100,000 in 2030 would be equal to having $50,000 in spending power. And one more brief touch on the GDP. For example, that's kind of why Trump did things like place those tariffs, etc. Because he was a beneficiary of a lot of the tax link, because he was a multi-billionaire of so many of the luxury brands that we relish. He understood what the other billionaires were benefiting from and wanted to bring some of those things back. No, I'm not a supporter. I'm a registered independent, but I vote for whoever's going to do the best thing for me in my pockets. You know, go ahead, my fault.
It all boils down to the money, no matter how you cut it. Right. It all boils down to the money.
Right. I mean, just to add my spill real quick, because for me, because like looking back at everything you saying, Razi, right? Because that's what I do on my channel, right? Because so a lot of things for me is, because I'll sit here and say this, I probably have a whole bunch of time to read books, but the thing is, a lot of people, like going back to what you were saying originally, right? Because people being lazy amongst, you know, doing this whole YouTube and everything else, right? And it gets them too caught up in nothing when really you should be worried about something else. Lucky enough for me, I didn't make myself into those type of channels. I actually made my channel based on those premises of those important informations. So constantly, even when I'm doing this, I'm always gonna have to be like, okay, I'm always gotta have to resource or read up on another article about this every single day of every single time, so I can actually make content on it, or neither I can just stay up on it every other time. So technically, I'm always pushing myself to do this, even though I might not be an expert, I might not be some, you know, certified, you know, whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm always gonna stay informed. And even when I do that, I'm always gonna keep someone else that doesn't know it any more than I do informed about it themselves. But I'll be that key, that little plug that says, you know, here's that language right here, because I can probably connect with you a little bit more where you can understand what I'm getting at with it. And then we all follow up through.
Okay.
That's the same, because like even like okay, I'm like,
Were you done? You had some more?
yeah, you can go ahead.
No, I'm fighting a bug. I'm sorry. I'm fighting a bug. Go ahead and finish your statement.
Well, I'll just add some one more thing, right? There's a famous saying that goes by it says there was a man with money who met a man with experience, and it said that when they met, the man with the money ended up with the experience. The man with the experience ended up with the man with the money. You know what I'm saying? So, it's all about being educated, and not just being educated, in things that don't matter. Like to be educated in a financial way, because anything that you do, it all revolves around the money, because you live in a capitalistic society that was built off of, the revolution of the American dollar. It don't matter what you're involved in. It don't matter who you network work with. It don't matter who you know. Your enemies, your friends, your foes, your allies. It all revolves around the money. You know what I'm saying? And your relationship with it will ultimately be the deciding fate. You know what I'm saying? For everyone here. So just something, I just hope that even what Alonzo was saying, he's got that on point, and even Wally too, you know what I mean? And I just hope that, for, the other ladies and the people who were here before and whoever may be watching, to just really, be careful, you know what I'm saying? And just spending too much time, in my opinion, with the social media, outlet, because ultimately, if it gets even more crowded than what it is, there's not going to be enough, breadcrumbs for everybody to eat. And then that's going to force other people to have to find other avenues. And by that time, because time is all that we really have. You know what I'm saying? So the more that you wait, you're really losing out. You know what I'm saying? You are really losing out, because, and again, the landscape of the entire economy is literally changing before your very eyes. You are living in, we all are living in historic times. Historic. After we are dead and gone, the next generation, 2 and 3, after us, they will be talking about this era. They will be talking about this era. We are literally will be put in the history books. You got to think,
it's the roaring 20s all over again.
Right. You got to think, like, we've lived during the time of seeing a black man in the White House, unheard of. We've lived in the times of gay, marriage being implemented. It's never happened before. We've even lived in the times of Roe v. Wade being overturned. This has never happened before. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about what is really going on. This is like uncharted. We ain't never experienced this. You know what I'm saying? We've never had a smartphone era, ever. This is new. This shit is new. You know what I'm saying? And how we use it, whether or not good or bad, this is going to have an everlasting effect on the generations to come after us. So that's my piece of it.
Alrighty. Queen, did you have anything you would like to say before we wrap up?
Nope.
Okay. Well, I thank you for being up here
right
now.
So, yeah. I mean, to add on to that, yeah. So to add on to that, yeah, he's right. I'll even add this for a caveat, because funny thing you say this, Razi, out of all times, because YouTube, they dropped some new information talking about the monetization thing, right? And some other new stuff added on that's coming next year. So
For
now,
sure.
let's say overall, right? If you become a YouTuber, you get 1,000 subscribers. You can literally get monetized now simply by doing shorts and getting 10,000 views. Now, notice views are the most
10
probably
million.
yeah, no, it's not. No, it's 10,000. I'm pretty sure of it.
10 million.
You sure about that?
Positive. 10,000 would be way too easy.
I'm gonna have to look back at that video, but for overall, right, from the shoot avenue, right, just that alone makes it so easily to get monetized and become a partner in that sense alone. So which is gonna easily force the crowdedness of it all, because then people can be like, oh, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna hit it with shorts. We're gonna do all this. We're gonna get people in, and then next thing you know, boom, they get monetized, and then they start doing some stupid videos and whatnot, yin yang yo, and that's gonna be another whole plug of them just mass producing and then pounding the airwaves with almost with nothing, give or take. Now to the overall, just my last formality of it all. I always say this, when I chose to get off my butt and not stay home all the time, and I chose to go to the library and actually be around informational things, neither this computer or neither getting around the books, it was probably the best wake-up call in my livelihood, because I've learned too much crap. Like literally, like even to what Rozzy even mentioned earlier about, do you really know what you're really getting into? Do you know how much this is really gonna be, when it's time to jump into this thing right here? Do you know the workarounds? Do you know all this from the start, from the get up? What is the inbound starting cost to really do this thing? What is gonna be the end product cost of this? My thing is, and a lot of people wouldn't know all that wraparound if you ain't really around books, or you ain't really around all that stuff, or you ain't looking up those information. Like I remember me just going along, huh? I thought someone said something. But yeah, but just me going along, like, going every single day, picking up magazines, especially from entrepreneur magazines or anything else of that business sense, right? Reading up on things. Like to start, I believe one of these burger shops, it took like maybe 50K up front, but the end product was like 100 something maybe from the full, for the full finishing product of it all, maybe more. So that in itself, it shows you like, this is how much it's gonna be like when it really trying to get into this. Like when you're trying to get into a whole business framework of it all, that's what it really takes. And it's like, do you really got that? Are you really prepared for that overall? Most cases, most people are not. In some cases, people aren't. So it's like, even to YouTube, like, and it's easy for people to walk in here because the price cost is zero. All it really is just your freaking phone bill, really. That's really just the startup cost, your phone bill. You paying your phone, that's it. Because you just simply having your LED, right, or your 5G, you can just literally waltz on in, just, put streaming on your phone, connect it to your YouTube, you ready to go. Just like that. But even then, it's like, but to evolve and constantly evolve, you can start there all day. People made themselves 1,000 people, 1,000 subscribers just off the phone alone, building themselves up, maybe even more, just like that, consistently, having a low inbound intake. But to what you're doing, and then the future of it, there's gonna be you have to do a bigger splash eventually, depending on what your content is. There's always gotta be that bigger splash. So that's gonna be that differentiate of it all at the same time. So I mean, that's just the wraparound I'm gonna give right there. My closing statements.
All right. So first, I want to say thank you all. I want to give one more piece just to wrap up this conversation about reaping your intentions. So we talked about your goals and your values, and so now it's just time to put all that into action. You all have talked about the money factor of it all. Including that is your attitude, your willingness to do the work, to learn what you need to learn, to do what you want to do, and propel yourself to the place you want to be, and whatever that looks like for you. And so I just want to leave you with this. Okay, so now that you have established, again, your goals and values, are you really ready to step into action? Who is the internal person, that's going to show up and actually do the work? Is your attitude going to prevent you from reaching your goals, from going further? Your demeanor, Some people have this, I know it all, some people are not teachable. Are you going to remain humble and teachable? I'm not saying humble as in don't celebrate and highlight your achievements and your knowledge and whatever else falls in line with that. However, but humble yourself to say, okay, someone else has done this before me and have done it greater. Am I going to be willing to learn from them, learn from their mistakes, learn from my mistakes? That's what I mean by humble yourself. Because the moment you allow your ego to get too inflated, that's going to be a very humbling experience and not in a good way. So anyhow, be mindful of who you are that shows up every day to do the work that gets you to where you want to be. But also keep your goals and values in mind so that your intentions stay pure and your intentions stay purposeful. I want to leave you all with this quote. Oops. Okay. The quote says, "The universe doesn't give you what you ask for with your thoughts. It gives you what you demand with your actions." And that's by Dr. Steve Maraboli. So anyhow, I just want to say thank you to everyone for joining Conversations tonight. Thank you for all of your perspectives. They're always welcome. Again, I may not understand every single thing that you all talk about, especially in the case of finances, but I am willing to learn. And so that's why I have the open invitation for you gentlemen that are in finances to come back and do a Finances for Dummies for us. A to Z, whatever it takes. The kindergartners, hold my hand and help educate me to where I need to go. So with that being said, this has been your Tuesday night show on the Intellectual Soapbox channel. I want to say thank you to everyone who dropped into the chat. Hello, welcome to Mrs. She Said. And then Daryl Long says, salute to the panel. Each and every one of you keep grinding. Also, Adnan, Saeed is free. Whatever that means. I apologize, I don't know. But thank you. And Mr. M3, salute to you. Mr. Best, Mr. Intellectual, whatever you go by today. Thank you for always providing this space for me. And with that, that's going to do it. I hope everyone has a great night. Don't forget to be intentional.
The DJ.